This happened in 2017, when I was doing a delivery job in New York. And that night, I went to a house where I probably shouldn't have walked out alive. I lived in Manhattan, in my small apartment building on a corner of the Upper East Side. Delivery job was a bit stressful, but the pay was good. I worked both Uber Eats and DoorDash. Every night followed a similar routine. Pick up the order, confirm the address, deliver it on time to the customer. It was a Friday night. Cold wind was blowing, and there was a light fog in the streets. My phone buzzed. New order. Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. I checked the GPS. The route was long, but trips from Manhattan to Brooklyn were part of my daily grind. Estimated delivery time, 45 minutes. Tip looked decent. As soon as I started the car, the streets felt tense. Traffic was heavy, and the narrow Brooklyn streets, unfamiliar buildings, and dark alleys put me on alert. I turned onto a narrow street in Bed-Stuy. Old brick houses all around. Street lights were dim, some areas quite dark. The car moved slowly. I checked the customer's address on my phone. Exact house number, 1428. The doorbell icon was blinking. I barked. Turned off the engine. Checked my phone. Apartment 3B. The building looked old. Curtains on the windows were tightly drawn, no peek from inside. I pressed the doorbell. Within seconds, the door opened. A middle-aged man, casual but slightly nervous. "Hey, delivery." His voice was calm, but there was tension underneath. After handing over the order, he said, "Hey, can you come inside for a sec? I need to show you something about the apartment." For a normal delivery, this was unusual. I hesitated politely. He insisted. "Just a minute, won't take long." I got a bit cautious. The scene felt odd, but sometimes people in Brooklyn are friendly. I agreed, just a quick peek. As soon as I stepped inside, the building's vibe was different. Dim lights, narrow hallway, walls with faded paintings. The floor creaked slightly. He showed me a narrow staircase. Just a little thing upstairs, then back down. I followed slowly, alert and cautious. As I reached the top of the stairs, a strange smell hit me, like old chemicals or damp wood. I felt uneasy. A door was slightly open. I took careful steps and noticed furniture and boxes scattered inside. I stopped, instincts kicking in. The situation was potentially risky. He said, "Don't worry, just look at this." I bent down to see. And at that moment, my instinct screamed something wasn't right. I stepped back. He noticed. "Relax, nothing to worry about." But there was something off in his tone, like he was hiding something. The room was quiet, almost eerily so. A faint sound of movement came from somewhere, like someone stepping across the floor. I went on high alert. Adrenaline rushed. From here, the situation started to feel serious. I realized I might have come to the wrong place. I stood in the middle of the room. The man in front of me, eyes locked on mine. His expression was no longer calm, tense, calculating. He took a sudden step forward. "Just a little longer, then I'll send you back." His voice was calm, but there was a cold confidence behind the words. I felt this wasn't a normal situation. Still, I kept my position, not too close, not too far. The room had a few dim lights. Old photographs covered the walls, some family pictures, some random people, all old and faded. In one photo, the same man was standing, but with unknown faces. I looked closely. A couple of the faces seemed familiar, like I'd seen them in the news. He led me to a small table. A box sat on it, covered with a cloth. "This will be interesting to see." He casually removed the cloth. Inside the box were small metallic objects. At first, I thought it was jewelry. But looking closer, I realized these were wallets and watches. Different brands, different styles, all old, worn out. My stomach tightened. In my delivery job, I had heard about scenes like this before: missing deliveries, robbers posing as customers. But I had never faced it myself. I casually asked, "Nice collection, you into old stuff?" He smiled a cold, mechanical smile. "People come here often, but not everyone leaves." His reply was a half whisper, but I heard it clearly. I took a slow step back. He noticed, but didn't move. Just stood there with his arms crossed. My phone signal was weak. It only showed once. I subtly tried to unlock the screen and dial emergency, but the line dropped. The room smelled a bit damp, like an old building. But I could sense another smell coming from the basement, like paint or chemicals. I realized something illegal was going on here. I had no more doubts. This man was not normal. And this delivery, it was a trap. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight. At that moment, I felt like someone was watching me closely. The light exposed the corners of the room: old furniture, scattered boxes, and a half-open door. A metallic reflection caught my eye inside the box. I bent down to see, and realized this wasn't jewelry, just personal belongings. A chain, a ring, some IDs, all random names. My heart rate spiked. I placed my hand on top of the box, and as I picked up an ID card, a loud thud came from upstairs. I jumped, quickly turning around. The man spoke with a serious expression. "All right, let's get started." His voice had a sharp edge, like everything was planned. It was clear now I wasn't in a normal customer's house. The room's atmosphere was tense, heavy. I stepped back slowly, but his eyes followed me. A slight movement by the window caught my eye. No one outside, but something shifted behind the curtain. I felt a wave of panic inside. The man gave a subtle gesture, signaling me to move to the corner. I stepped into the corner, my mind calculating. How far to the door? Which way to exit? This was no longer a delivery, this was a survival scenario. He stood by the box, muttering something under his breath. I thought about grabbing my phone, but the signal was zero. A chemical-like smell came from the basement, like paint thinner or bleach. I realized some cleanup or concealment was happening. I moved in slow motion. His gestures had started to look aggressive. "Don't move from here, now." His tone wasn't calm, it was both a warning and a threat. I trusted my instincts. One step back, then a left turn. And I reached the door. From above, a loud crash echoed like a heavy box falling. It created the perfect distraction. I pushed the door full speed. The man was shouting behind me. "Stop. Come back." But I was already running down the stairway. The floor creaked, but I ignored it. Only one goal, the front exit. I reached the bottom, pulled the handle, the door was stuck. For a second, I thought it was over. Then I pushed with full force, and the latch broke. Cool night air hit my face. Street lights flickered. I felt like I was finally safe. I ran to my car, started the ignition. In the rearview mirror, I saw the man standing by the window, talking to someone on the phone. I realized this wasn't just some psycho. It was probably an organized setup. Fake deliveries, targeting random drivers. Driving back toward Manhattan, I kept checking my mirrors constantly. A black sedan was behind me, but I merged into traffic. My phone finally caught a signal. I dialed 911. The dispatcher answered. I gave a brief summary. Suspicious customer, illegal items, possible abduction site. They traced the location. I felt a sense of relief, but my mind was still racing. That Brooklyn address, 1428 Bed-Stuy, was no longer just a delivery spot. It had turned into a potential crime scene. The next morning, I heard on the news. Police had raided an apartment in that same area. Multiple stolen items and fake IDs were recovered. Some belongings of missing persons were also found. I quietly sipped my coffee, looking out the window. The city seemed normal. But for me, New York would never be the same. That night in 2017, it was just part of a delivery job. But it changed my perspective on life. Now, with every new order, I don't just check the address, I check for safety first.